welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Mike Al, Kevin Jank.
That's right, I am here, but we have a very special guest who will usurp that title back from me.
Yes, joining us this week is old Mike L. Mike L!
Yeah, that's right, I'm back. Woo! Thanks for having me.
Good to have you back, Mike L. We have not spoken since the last episode.
This is true. This is the first time we've spoken at all.
I figured you were just sick of my shit and you didn't want to deal with this anymore.
Well, no, it's not that at all, you know. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised when a certain Kevin Jank contacted me to have me on as a guest. So, yeah, this is great.
Now, it's great to have you back, Mike L.
All right.
But,
so what have I missed?
Well, you've missed a lot.
Okay.
We did some good stuff. We found out that the Watchmen just ripped off Squadron Supreme. We found that out very early on.
But who did it better is the question, right?
Squadron Supreme. But
we found the world's greatest villain that Marvel created.
Well, two, actually. Because I don't know which you think's better. Mike L., have you ever heard of Henrik von Schnickelschnapp?
I have not. Is he DC or Marvel?
Well, Marvel, of course, because DC can never come up with something that good. He was in an episode or an issue of Marvel. What was that, Jank? A Team Up Annual.
Marvel Team Up Annual, yeah.
And
really? Spider-Man, Knight, Power Man, Iron Fist.
He was like and Purple Man was the main villain, but Kingpin. He was like an assassin that worked for Kingpin.
You know what? I think I've read that. Which annual was it?
Number 4, I believe.
Yeah,
like the cover's pretty famous. It's a Frank Miller cover, a Purple Man's face.
Oh, yes, I've read. We reviewed that on Here Comes the Spider.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
And the other big villain we encountered was a fellow named Turner D. Century.
Oh, we reviewed him as well. Yeah, he's one of our
that was an 80s Spider-Man book. I would imagine you did that one too, yeah.
Yeah, he rode spikes through the air, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Got a bike horn that was going to kill everyone under the age of 65.
That was awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, you've missed quite a bit. I will say this though, Michael. You haven't missed a monkey. I don't think we've had have we had any monkeys since Michael's been gone?
We've been doing so many animal books lately, but there were animals in that Rocket Raccoon. Remember the monkey?
There was
samurai?
a monkey samurai in Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
That's right. Mike always liked the monkey.
All right.
Books. But you know what else you didn't miss, Michael? Any Animal Man, because we never would have picked Animal Man.
All right.
But now you're here.
Yeah. So here's my question. Did I miss any DC comics?
Yeah, Jake's a jerk. So he picks DC every once in a while.
Really?
I'm keeping the traditions alive.
All right. Well, I'll have to go back and listen to just those episodes. Then.
He has to irritate me by picking. He picked the Justice League issue where Batman punches Guy Gardner.
Oh, number 5.
Yeah.
Of course. Famous.
That was terrible.
What
else he picked? He picked an issue of The Shadow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The Bill Sienkiewicz run.
Oh, nice. Never read that.
Wasn't that good.
It's weird art.
Hellblazer.
Yes. Good stuff.
Yeah,
it gets better later. If you're still doing up to 89, I think you probably did a Jamie Delano, or how do you pronounce his name?
Yep.
Jimmy Delano. Yeah, I think it was him, yeah.
It gets better later when Garth Ennis takes over.
Is that all the DC we've done since he's been gone, Jack? You've picked more.
No, we've definitely done some more. I know at Christmas time, I wanted to keep the tradition going, doing a DC, Christmas special. So I had to dip into the Elvira House of Mystery.
Yeah. A man after my own heart. Good stuff.
House of Mystery. Michael, we're still a few months away, but, Shocktober without Michael, I don't think it'll be the same, you know?
Oh, good point. Yeah, I might have to come back for that as well. I've got some DC anthologies that are just waiting to be read. 100 pagers.
Now, Michael, you were here. We did the show 3 years or something. And at no point did you pick Animal Man. So I figured I was safe that Animal Man wasn't around in the 80s. But then Jank tells me, no, it came in the late 80s. And he picked Animal Man issue 5 for the day. So why didn't you pick Animal Man? Because you love Animal Man.
That's a good question. It was on my radar, but after we reviewed Sandman and Swamp Thing, and both were given negative reviews by Mike Dell, I just lost hope, and I thought, what's the point? So I did pick Animal.
It's like playing handball with the Drapes.
Right.
There are just a few writers I don't enjoy, and Mike L seems to like all of them. But what else was I going to say about that? Oh, who do you like more, Animal Man or Quasar?
Well, for different reasons. Like, I mean, I like Quasar. Quasar is a good comic, but it's not groundbreaking or anything. Yeah. But it's more like I feel like Quasar is like my alter ego, right? Like my alter ego in Marvel. And Animal Man is more like, it's hard to explain. Like, I don't like Animal Man because he's such a great character. It's more like I like the comic itself,
Huh. Yeah, he was not even a character in this issue.
Not really. No.
An empty suit.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about Animal Man there, Michael, because I have no knowledge of this. Last week, Jank and I were trying to figure out what the fuck is Animal Man? What does he do? And we were kind of guessing. And I think we hit on it, Jank. Didn't we say he can get the powers of animals or something?
Yeah, I guess that's what we were guessing. Kind of like, in Hot Rod, which is like the grace of an eagle and shit.
Yes, like exactly.
I don't know that reference. Is that Andy Samberg or?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Great movie.
Right. Well, Michael, what was your first experience with Animal Man?
I might have had an Action Comics when I was a kid where he guest starred in Superman because he was a member of the superheroes, the Forgotten Heroes. I don't know if you've come across that team.
I have not come across that team. I did not read that.
He teamed up with, I think it was Cave Carson and Dolphin and a couple, maybe Rick.
Wait, I don't remember. Who in the blue hell is Cave Carlson?
Cave Carson. Oh, this was back in I think it was in the 60s or 70s where DC had a superhero for every theme, including exploring caves. And his name is Cave Carson, okay?
It's like that Gary Coleman movie, Jank, where he gets trapped in a cave.
There you go.
The old lady.
Oh, here, I'm running down the list. Animal Man, Ballistic, Cave Carson, Fetish, The Ray.
Fetish? What is Fetish?
You know what's funny? I don't know because he's the only one that doesn't have his own entry here, so I have no idea who Fetish is. And then Resurrection Man.
You need to find one of his books.
Yeah, there you go. Fetish.
All right. Well, with this Animal Man fella, his first appearance, Michael, was way back in 1965.
Yes.
The character's name is Bernard Buddy Baker.
Right.
Oh, Buddy. First appeared in Strange Adventures, issue 180, 1965, and he was originally called A-Man.
Yeah, wasn't that kind of a nickname, I think? I don't know if he was ever actually called that, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, his first costume had a giant A on it.
True. That's true, yeah.
And then he adopted the name Animal Man in issue 190.
Ah, okay.
Of Strange Adventures. He was created by Dave Wood and Carmine Infantino. Now, we know Carmine Infantino. Do you know anything about Dave Wood?
Actually, no. To be honest, I thought he was created by Arnold Drake, so I got his backstory completely wrong. I'm just going from memory here, though.
He had 11 total appearances pre-Crisis.
Okay.
He had 5 in Strange Adventures, 2 in Wonder Woman, 2 in Action Comics, which is where you probably saw him, and then 2 in DC Comics Presents.
Ah, with Superman, yes.
And Buddy Baker, his original story was that he was a film stuntman. And as the result of being in proximity to an exploding extraterrestrial spaceship, Buddy acquires the ability to temporarily borrow the abilities of animals.
Not seeing the connection there.
Yeah. An alien spaceship blows up. I can mimic animals.
That's what happens to anybody that, goes through that particular experience.
So then,
fell into some toxic waste at the zoo or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Then Mike L's hero Grant Morrison, who wrote this issue here today. Well, he's like Alan Moore is your beloved, right?
They're both my beloveds.
All right.
Both.
So Grant Morrison revamped the character for what was originally supposed to be a 4-issue limited series in 1988, but it proved popular, so they just kept rolling into an ongoing series, and that lasted 89 issues.
That's right.
And Morrison wrote the first 26.
Yes.
And then Jamie Delano, who you mentioned earlier, eventually took over at some point, I think around issue 50 or something. And then, Michael, it seems like he just ripped off Swamp Thing. He redid the origin kind of Animal Man?
Oh, I haven't read that, but yeah, I believe he tied him into the
what he did.
Something? Okay.
Because then it's Swamp Thing. Wasn't he connected to the green, which was all like the plant life?
Right. Yes.
So this Jamie Delano fella, he killed Buddy Baker. But then he was resurrected as an avatar. Whatever the fuck.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then the avatar was connected to the red. So he instead of the green for plants, red for animals. So he could get his powers from animals through the red. So he just ripped off your buddy Alan Moore.
Yeah, Jeff Lemire followed up with that idea in his Animal Man run in 2011. It was okay, but I didn't love it,
Yeah.
Did they ever expand to the other colors so you could find out what the blue is? Shit. That's just like
I wouldn't be surprised. I bet you there is. I bet you they did them all,
Brown is like insects. Blue is fish. Yeah, it'd be great.
You can talk to species.
The writer here for this issue is Grant Morrison, and the artist is Chaz Truog.
Yeah, Truog. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Yeah.
Truog. And this Chaz fella, he did 28 of the first 32 issues. Do you know anything about him?
No, and to be honest, I'm not a big fan of his. And I don't even know if he did anything after this.
He had like 52 credits, I think, on DC Fandom, but he did a lot of independent stuff. Apparently his history with Grant Morrison isn't the best. They didn't have a great relationship.
That's what I heard too. Yeah, he didn't really like working with them.
Yeah. So, and then he didn't kind of he said after he left Animal Man, he would try and get other jobs, and they said, well, it's a superhero book, and you did Animal Man. That's really not a superhero book, so we don't want you. Then when he tried to get a book that wasn't a superhero book, they'd say, well, Animal Man there, that was a superhero book. And he's like, well, no, it wasn't a superhero. So he was screwed either way, But he did a bunch of independent stuff, though. Like a whole bunch. He really liked Leonardo da Vinci, and I guess he did some sort of comic book series about Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
That sounds thrilling.
Yeah. Well, maybe he didn't get work because he just wasn't a good artist. That could be
Mike Ailes is dropping the hammer. This is the kind of toxicity we've missed since Mike Ailes hasn't been here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I bet he's blocked him on Twitter.
Not quite. Anyway.
But this Grant Morrison fellow, Mike Ailes, you love him. But he's part of the whole Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman, the British invasion of comic books, right?
Absolutely, yep.
And he came in. Tell the kids all about your Grant Morrison and what he's famous for.
Well, he first became kind of famous by doing Batman Arkham Asylum, which is to this day still the biggest moneymaker for DC ever. Yeah. And then he went on to do Vertigo books. Well, if you like Animal Man and Doom Patrol, which evolved into Vertigo, right? And then eventually he went over to and then he rebooted the Justice League as the JLA. I think it was in 96 or 97. That was a huge hit. And then he went to Marvel and did New X-Men.
He ruined the X-Men, yeah.
Yeah, he did the best X-Men run ever, yes. And then
I tried reading that X-Men run, and I'm kind of with Jank on this one. I just thought that was not good.
It's the best X-Men run. But anyway, then he went back to DC and did All-Star Superman. He did Seven Soldiers. He did a few other things. Yeah, that's it. 6-year run of Batman. How can I forget that? Yeah. Batman R.I.P., the Black Case book, all that stuff, yeah. And right. Yeah, huge run, right. And that was controversial, and to be honest, I disagree with a lot of the ideas there. Like, it was very well written, but I didn't like the idea of Batman Incorporated and all that. I didn't love that
stupid.
Stuff, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then later in his career now he's doing a lot of oddball stuff. Like he did Happy, which turned into a TV show. I don't know if you guys saw that, Happy.
Yeah, I saw that. It was on like FX, right?
Something like that, yeah.
FX.
It was okay. It wasn't great. But yeah, I have to accept that he's past his peak now, right? He's just not as good as he used to be. So I still buy everything he does though.
Wow. Yep. What was your favorite thing you did? Arkham Asylum or?
No. Probably Animal Man or Doom Patrol or All-Star Superman. Those three.
Yeah, I've never read any Doom Patrol. Jank, have you ever read Doom Patrol?
No.
Interesting. It's really good.
At some point.
No,
here's what I know about the Grant Morrison, because I never read any of his comic book stuff. But Jack, you've heard me talk about this many times. But he was. I saw him give a speech at DisinfoCon 1999. I saw the video of it. I wasn't there in person. But he talked about having an experience with aliens, and then he talked about having practicing magic and sigil magic and charging up the sigils by jerking off. That's what I know about Grant Morrison. So.
He also, I think there was a book he was doing. It might have been Invisibles that was on the verge of cancellation.
Yes. Yep.
And so he had all of his fans do a wank off, right? To save it from cancellation. And
he said, charge up your sigils by jerking off and we can save it from cancellation, but it still got canceled, right?
Aww. Yeah. Only those people would have jerked off a little more.
You should try that one day. Anyway.
Oh, you can't kill this show. We just keep going.
I want to get to number 75 in Argentina.
Oh yeah, Mike L. You would take pride in this, but a few weeks ago I got an email from some random dude, and he said, "Congratulations, Flea Market Fantasy is the 79th ranked book podcast in Argentina."
Get out of here!
So
wow.
There are only 78 more podcasts about books in Argentina, better than this show.
That's impressive.
I'm very proud of that. Yeah. You helped build that, Michael. You helped build that.
And then it took off after I left and Jank took over. Wow.
But, hey, you mentioned the Invisibles. Was that any good? Because I've heard that mentioned a few times over the years.
It's really good, but it's also really hard to understand. Like, something we should say about Grant Morrison is that some of his comics are very hard to understand, but most of them are much clearer on the second or third read-through,
Yeah, I remember he did this 6-issue limited series in like 99 or 2000 called Marvel Boy that I still don't understand. Like, I think I did try reading it again, like for the first time a couple years ago. I was like, oh, I'm an adult now. I'll get it. Still no clue what the fuck's happening.
Yeah, but there are comics he's done that are weirder than that. Like, like his more obscure stuff, like Kill Your Boyfriend and stuff like that. But then even like Final Crisis, that was a book that was marketed as a big superhero crossover DC event, and it was so incomprehensible. Most people hated it. Of course, I loved it, right? But anyway, I'm actually made a skit about that. I'll send it to you guys later.
Ooh, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, anything Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, Mike L loves. Just
absolutely, yeah,
just the way it is. Anything else we should know about Grant Morrison?
Not really. Not really.
Does a lot of drugs. I know that.
Yeah, does a lot of drugs. Yeah. I don't know. I read an interview with Grant Morrison when I was maybe like 1990, so I was like 14, whatever. And that's like my manifesto for comic books. Like, his attitude towards superheroes and his hatred of realism. He does not like realism comics. Like the whole Dark Knight Frank Miller thing, he hated that. He actually didn't like Watchmen either. So, yeah, just something to think about.
Well, Jake and I didn't like his X-Men stuff. So
see, that's ridiculous. But whatever.
It all works out. All right, well, let's talk about Animal Man.
Right. Well, I'm going to assume that since Jank is the co-host, Jank is going to do the plot summary, correct?
Yeah, we'll wing it. We'll see how it goes. But
just bebop back and forth.
Michael, would you like to? Usually, Jank describes the covers. But,
sure. Would you? So you'd like me to do the honors?
Yeah. How about it, Jank? Would you like Michael to do it?
Take the reins.
So this is 1 second. I just knocked my earphones out of it.
This is a pretty famous cover. I have seen this one before.
Yes, this is drawn by Brian Bolland, who...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, who's most famous as a cover artist. He did a long run on Animal Man, on...
he's a Batman guy, right?
He only did the Killing Joke. Yeah, the Killing Joke, which is...
That's all he did?
Yep. In fact, to be honest, the only other regular interior work that I can remember him doing was good old Camelot 3000.
Wait a minute. He didn't do the one we read, did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was Brian Bolland.
Holy shit.
Or Brian Bolland. I'm not sure how to pronounce
it. Do you think he came up with the idea for the flashlight on the crowbar in the year 3000? Do you think that was
only the genius come up with that?
I know one other book he did a lot of regular work on, but it's going to be my next pick, so I'll save it.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Secret.
Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
Oh, I might have a guess that I'm not going to say. Oh, wait. Okay, anyway. So we got this image of Animal Man laying on his back with his arms out in a Christ-like pose, but he's laying on the ground, and beneath him we see like tire tracks, but the tire tracks are forming like a cross. But the cool thing is that he's in color, but the ground is in black and white. And as we get towards the bottom of the cover, we can see that he's just a comic book drawing, and he's kind of one leg is kind of coming off the ground, and like the bottom of both his legs are just pen and ink, and we can see an actual human hand, filling in the color with a paintbrush. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Jank, thoughts?
Yep, that sums it up. It's pretty cool looking. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good cover. I guess we should mention the Animal Man title. It's got like claws across the like scratches,
Right,
like a cat, like a
Right.
cat.
Got to it.
Yeah. Big fan of that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a pretty good cover there.
Yeah.
Now,
His
Jake,
costume's not the best. I wouldn't say
Oh,
the massive fan of that.
Wait. We have to point out he's got a jacket. That is
Yeah.
a Grant Morrison, like, what's that called when someone has
That's true.
trademark, kind of?
Yeah.
well,
Crutch.
the Chaz guy, the artist, the Chaz guy, he gave him this particular jacket. He said when he took over or when he started I guess he started from the beginning, right? But the initial idea was to have him in a jean jacket.
Mm.
And he gave him this jacket, which is a little more Hot Topic-like. I don't know. How would you describe it, Jank? I don't know.
Flashy, futuristic.
Yeah.
Yeah, a jean jacket wouldn't have worked.
But Michael, describe his costume for the kids who've never seen Animal Man.
So he's got kind of, I guess you could call it like a Cyclops skull cap that is open on the top so you can see his blonde hair. Then he has goggles. His skull cap is kind of dark bluish black. Then that goes into his costume that is mainly orange, but he has not an actual A, but kind of like the shape of an A, just without the second line, right? Like across his chest. And then,
But I can't call him A-Man anymore because he doesn't really have an actual A.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. And then he's got, like bluish black gloves and bluish black boots, but the boots are kind of almost like they have like a feather, like outline at the top, right? I'm assuming that's what that is. Like animal,
Yeah.
right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so the jacket and the A are also blue. Yeah. He has, like we said earlier, he has a jacket on. So very cool.
Jank, not a fan of the costume?
I mean, it's okay. It's, I don't know. It's not my favorite costume by any means.
Yeah. I'm not scared of this guy. If I'm a criminal,
Yeah.
I'm not scared of Animal Man.
Well, see, I don't want to be scared. I want to be like, I don't know. I want to be inspired by a super.
to do
That's
good.
what this is. Yeah.
I'm not inspired by him either. So I think we're
I don't know.
either way. All right,
Kinda
so
looks like Havoc, but not as cool.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
all right, we open it up and we see a little thing here. Vertigo Comics is by far the HBO of the comic book world. And that's a quote from the Washington Examiner.
Yep.
And then there's a little intro here.
This is obviously much newer. This little piece was added like 20 years later or something. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
About that.
I mean, they're clearly overlooking Marvel Team Up.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was the real HBO.
Yeah.
Hey, did we say what year this is? This is 89, right?
I think where does it say?
Could be
I think-
88.
But yeah, the Limits, the series started in 88, but I think the cover date here is, it doesn't fucking matter. It's 88, 89. It just got in under the wire.
It is December 88.
Yeah, so right there.
So before the Batman movie.
Batman the movie. Yep.
Yeah, well, I did all history based on whether it could happen before or after the first Batman.
Yeah.
Because of me, I always put it in terms of Alf. Was it pre or post Alf?
Yep.
That's just me.
So this is what? Is this post Alf or during Alf?
Yeah, this is post Alf. Well, because I always say 86 is when Alf started, so that's his post Alf for me, in my mind. But
You only recognize one as canon.
all right, Jank. So you tell us where we start here, Jank, when we open up the book.
So we get a shot of the highway. There's some roadkill on the road there. It looks like a coyote. And this is where it starts. And there's a trucker who has picked up, a young lady who, is smoking in the truck there. And, she's like, yes, the last guy kicked me out because I wouldn't the unwritten book of the road that we learned all about in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. What you gotta do to get a ride. But apparently she's like, no, I'm not doing that. So he's like, yeah, that's cool. But he's like, yeah, don't go to Hollywood. Like, it sucks down there. And she says, you sound just like my mom. If I wanted this crap, I'd have stayed at home. Jeez.
Yeah, she wants to be an actress, you know?
Yeah.
She has dreams of making it big. She wants to be in Mr. Meat commercials.
Anyway.
She's smoking her cigs, smoking a dart, you know?
Yep.
And this fella here, he's a gay fella, this guy, you know?
Yeah.
He's a boyfriend. He's got his picture of his boyfriend on his visor there. And his boyfriend gave him like a silver cross to wear.
Mm-hmm.
That's his lucky charm.
It's like my boyfriend saved me. If it wasn't for him, I'd still be on the smack or be in the AIDS ward.
On the smack. And they start singing along to a song. Now, did either of you recognize the song that they're singing?
I did not.
Nope. Not a clue.
I guess we could Google the lyrics. I could do that well.
That's a lot of work. That is a lot of work.
Yeah.
This show is not really known for that. So, all right. So he's driving the 18-wheeler down the highway there. And then something runs out in front of him, Michael. What happens now?
Let me just click back. I was doing some research, but
sorry.
Back.
Yeah.
Research.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's my bad.
No, but anyway, so what happens then is something appears in front of them, and it turns out that it's a coyote, and they run over it. And it's we only see the coyote after they've run over it, and basically we see that it's like a desert with like cacti and stuff in the background, and then we see like this disgusting, carcass of this creature that's been basically, what's the word, bisected?
Yeah.
Yeah, bisected nearly. And then this is where we kind of change directions of the story. I don't know if I should say this, but basically we start now with first person narration, right? Well, not really, but no. What's that? Second person? Third person?
Yeah, it's
narration. Yeah, describing what's happening here, and then you can take it from here, Jank.
So they describe pretty much everything that's happening in great detail here. The pain is gigantic. A newly activated nervous system is suddenly jammed with frantic signals like an overworked switchboard. The creature shudders, weeping. Its pelvic girdle fuses along hairline sutures to cradle rapidly healing organs. Those are words I didn't think I would hear in a comic book. This pelvic girdle. A splintered rib that saws back and forth in one lung is withdrawn. The thoracic cage locks seamlessly.
Wasn't that the name of your band in college, Jank? The Pelvic Girdle?
Pelvic Girdle? Yeah. We were pretty hot. So the creature's getting up. It's not just a coyote, it's a coyote man, essentially.
Sorry, I found out what song it is, and I'm going to wait to tell you because it ties in. I'll tell you later. Go ahead.
Oh, wow, it ties in.
Yeah.
He was putting thought into this.
Yeah.
Of course, people could not Google the lyrics back in 1988, so probably no one got this.
So, yeah, the coyote guy, it's a coyote on two legs walking around. He's back to full health now. He healed himself. And we should say the truck that hit him had Ajax on the side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this coyote keeps dying throughout the book, keeps coming back. He's doing the old Acme and the Wile E. Coyote, doing the old gimmick there.
Right.
I think his name is Crafty Coyote. So
Crafty.
Yeah.
And it's funny
just
because
legally distinct enough.
we should point out that at this time DC was already owned by Warner Brothers, but they probably just didn't use it for whatever legal reason, right? But yeah supposedly they could. I guess they could have, but they didn't.
So then we cut to the home of Buddy Baker. Is that his name?
Buddy Baker, yep.
Buddy Baker. And there's a televangelist on the TV there. And this Buddy Baker fella, Michael, he's married and he has 2 children. Right?
Right. That's right. A son and a daughter, yep.
Yeah. And we see Buddy in the refrigerator there, and he's tossing out all the meat from the refrigerator. And
that's right.
Mr. Meat would not stand for that.
Yeah. Mr. Meat would be outraged at this. But and then he says, "Hey, we got some tofu," and his son's like, "Tofu, gross." This son's a creep. I don't like this kid.
His son's great. I would adopt him.
Especially his haircut.
Michael, are you still veganing it up over there in Canada?
Well, vegetarian. I was only
okay.
vegan briefly, and then I went to Acapulco Delight once and tried vegan tacos, and I was like, never again. I went right back to vegans. Okay? Yeah, so it didn't work.
Well, I am still veganing it up here, so this kid's a creep.
Great.
So then Jake, the wife, comes in, and she is not amused that Buddy's throwing out all their meat.
No, that's problematic. Why would you get rid of good meat? They spent thousands of dollars on this, probably.
Well, Buddy properly points out this is animal flesh. You're eating the muscles and tendons and flesh of animals. It's disgusting.
Right.
She's like, yeah, we've been doing this our entire lives. Get the fuck over it. See, a lot of people will argue who's the greatest DC superhero, like Batman, Superman. You got some edgelords who will say it's Sandman. But really, I think it's this wife. The wife is the real.
Now, Michael, in this version of Animal Man, did he get his powers from an exploding spaceship?
What they do is there's a tie into the series in Secret Origins. I think it's Secret Origins number 9. And they
wait a minute, Secret Origins. We read that, right? With that was where Pie-Face comes from, right?
Yeah, that's right. But in that story, he addresses that origin, and I think he revises it a little bit, but it's roughly the same. Yeah.
Okay.
So. But
clearly, this incident where he gets these powers now, he thinks differently about the world around him. He can't be eating animals when he has a kinship with the animals now.
That's right. Yep.
Maybe he should think differently about the shorts he's wearing.
Yes. What is going on there? That's the other thing I want to point out. He's like, he cut off jean shorts. So either he's going to appear in Sleepaway Camp, one of Jank's favorite movies, or Tobias Fuke from Arrested Development. He's a never nude. He always has to keep on the cut off jean shorts.
Yeah.
Michael, have you ever seen Arrested Development in Canada? Do they show that?
I've maybe seen a few episodes. I did enjoy it, but I just couldn't commit to the whole series, so I stopped. But I'll get back to it.
There's a guy who always wears jean shorts, and that's Buddy Baker. He's got the jean shorts.
Right. Yeah. They're not hitting the knee or anything like that. Like, no, they're Daisy Dukling.
So, now do you think he was wearing those jean shorts before the incident with the aliens?
That could have been the cause of it. I'm not sure, yeah.
The aliens saw him and they're like, skadoosh.
So, the wife says, you put that meat down right now. So he just puts the meat down on the counter. He says, all right, fine. Don't expect me home for dinner. And he storms out. Buddy Baker's a real jerk, too. See where his son gets it.
Yeah. Buddy Baker. This family is going to be split in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So now we finally see Animal Man here in all his glory in his little outfit. And he's flying around, just checking out the world there, see what there is to see. And now, Michael, we cut to the fella who was in the truck previously, but now it's like a year after that opening scene.
Right.
1 year later, Michael.
Yes. And
so what's happening now?
He is he's talking about when everything started to go wrong, and he's talking about this character he keeps calling the devil, and it looks like he's plotting to harm this devil, and we see him like laying out like a wire, and then there's some dynamite there, so he's basically setting a bomb. He also has a rifle with him, and he's talking about how he's going to kill the devil, and then we cut back and we see that same picture of him from earlier, and then we see this picture.
The same picture of him and his boyfriend, because after that incident on the road where they ran over the coyote, his boyfriend died, right? Mm-hmm. He got hit in a car accident. And then that girl he had picked up dies, a prostitute is slain, says the headline.
Yes,
and it's that girl.
Headline. Mm-hmm. Right.
So everything in his life is gone. And he blames, for some reason, that coyote that he ran over with an 18-wheeler.
Right.
And he tells the girl,
dead.
Yeah, he tells the girl, don't look back. Don't look back. So there's no way he could know that coyote later, because that truck would have been way out the highway by the time that coyote reformed. So I was a little confused as to why he associated that coyote with the devil and why he didn't think it was dead. And why he would come back a year later looking to kill that devil. Any thoughts on that, Michael?
Well, I think that's the idea, is that he has an irrational belief that this devil was responsible, right? So,
I suppose, but it's...
Yeah, but how do you even know it existed? That's the question.
Well, he just assumed whatever he hit. So if he hit a squirrel, he'd be coming back looking for a squirrel. I don't know. It's just, it's a little weird. But all right. But Michael, he just happens to see a coyote. That same coyote guy sitting on the edge of a cliff.
Well, yeah.
A year later.
Yes.
He tracks him down.
And
what happens?
Okay, so we see the coyote sitting there, and we should point out that this coyote is sort of like, this is not the Wile E. Coyote. This is like almost like a werewolf, like a man coyote, right? Like it's shaped more like a man, but it has the face of a coyote, but it's furry. And so he's lining up his gun, and he's got the coyote in its sights. Now, again, I pointed out earlier, I don't like this art, but the way that Chaz Truog draws the coyote is pretty freaking cool, because he turns around and he's got this giant kind of almost bug eye and this like freakish scared look on his face at all times, and it's pretty effective.
Yeah, it is cartoony. So it's fitting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So then he shoots the coyote, and the bullet goes right through the coyote, and then we see a scene that's straight out of Looney Tunes, right, where the coyote kind of tumbles back, and then Grant Morrison actually writes, briefly its feet pedal empty air, right, which is the classic thing where the cartoon character doesn't even realize that, you know, the floor is not there anymore, or it's in the air, or whatever. So then he starts to fall, and we see the classic getting smaller and smaller and smaller until he hits the ground, and then there's a big puff of smoke, right, as it hits.
Mm-hmm.
And then we, once again, so then the coyote's still alive, but then we see a shadow getting bigger and bigger, and then we see this giant rock land on top of it. But I think it's still alive. So now the guy, what's his name? Bill? No. Is this Bill?
I don't know. Do they ever say his name?
Maybe
we'll
Billy was his boyfriend.
That's true, yeah. We'll call him Bob.
All right.
Bob starts to run down to the ravine to confirm that he's dead. And just then, Animal Man comes flying out of the sky. There's actually another vulture kind of flying, just like there was earlier in the story. And Animal Man's flying. And then the narration's like, all he needs is a little time to get close enough to use the second bullet, the magic bullet. And then Animal Man flies down, and now we see that the coyote's risen again, right? That's another good shot. That's actually really good art of the coyote standing there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but you hate this guy. He blocked you on Facebook because you hate him.
Yeah. And then Animal Man soars down, and then this is where we see another cross, right? We see the highways crossing there, so it's another cross reference. And then the man, Bob, decides to, now he sees the coyote walking towards the wire that's going to activate the bomb, and he's like, don't move, there's a bomb. And then from the air we see the explosion. And then he's in the smoke and all the debris, he's like looking up, and now we can see that the coyote's still alive. And he's standing there, and his arm is all like kind of half off and all mangled, and he's got this ghastly look on his face, and we notice now that he's got something around his neck. I don't know if we noticed that earlier.
Yeah, he had it around at the beginning of the book too.
Okay.
But it's interesting that he can get hit by 18-wheelers, and he can get shot and blown up, and rocks fall on him and smash him, but that little container he has around his neck doesn't break.
That's a good point. You could call that a plot hole if you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's mystical. It's protected,
exactly.
I guess.
So, but Animal Man wants to see what that explosion was. You know, hey, there's a explosion. I got to go check it out. And then the coyote walks over to him, and he hands him that thing around his neck. Like he uncorks it there, and he takes out a piece of paper and hands it to Animal Man. And what does Animal Man discover?
Well, he really doesn't discover anything because it's in a language he can't read. We, the reader, get to see the backstory here. This is apparently the coyote gospel that the title was referring to. Apparently this coyote was from like a cartoon universe, kind of like the Rocket Raccoon world, just full of cartoons. And, it was pure chaos. Like everyone was fighting. There was pure war between all the different, animals on this planet. And, so in order to bring peace, like Crafty ends up having to become, like some kind of Prometheus type creature where he's just like, he gets the shit killed out of him constantly and he keeps regrowing his, parts back and getting back to full health just so he can keep doing it over and over again. And God has made him a deal that if he keeps doing that, he keeps taking all this pain and all this suffering, then the cartoon world will have peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got banished from the cartoon world to Earth's dimension. So he's now in Earth. And he has to keep suffering. And he thinks he can save his world, you know, and if he just keeps on fighting through the pain. And he wants to figure out a way to get back and bring down their evil god to save the cartoon world, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, when he hands Animal Man the script there, Animal Man looks at it and it's all in just like hieroglyphics mumbo jumbo. And Mike Kelly says, I can't read it.
Right.
You know?
And yeah, and it's cool because we don't find that out until we, the reader, have read the whole story. And then he kind of he's like, I'm sorry, I can't read it. And so it's a little punch in the gut to realize that was all for nothing, you know, from the point of view of Animal Man. So it's kind of funny.
And then Bob, the guy, he's still alive, even though he got caught up in the explosion. He's still alive, and he peeks out behind a rock, and he says, "Hey, I got a bullet, a magic bullet now." Now, one might question why he didn't use the magic bullet the first time.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point.
Just, you know.
Yeah, could have saved a lot of trouble.
Well, you know why? Because then there wouldn't be a story.
Exactly.
And that's the sign of bad writing.
He was saving the magic
much
bullet.
of a story.
He was saving the magic bullet, yeah.
But yeah, the magic bullet is that silver cross his boyfriend Billy gave him. He melted it down into a silver bullet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And silver bullets kill wolfmen and apparently cartoon coyotes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty convenient.
Yeah.
Again, he didn't know what this thing was. Or that it really was still alive, but he somehow knew that silver would kill it.
Yeah. So while Animal Mans are talking to the coyote guy, Bob snipes him right through the heart with the silver bullet. Mm-hmm. And the coyote's like, "Oh shit, I'm actually going to die this time," you know? And he collapses. And then Bob says, "Oh, Billy, I did it. I saved the world." And he collapses and he dies. And then Animal Man's consoling the coyote there while the coyote dies. And again, the coyote splayed out like Jesus on the cross. And then, Mike, what's the big dramatic reveal there in the final two panels?
Well, then we see that a paintbrush has come in and is painting the blood underneath the coyote, and there's a human hand attached to it. And then the camera kind of pans out, and then we see the hand kind of in the air. And then at the bottom, almost like a Looney Tunes, it says, "The end, folks," instead of "That's all, folks," implying that, you know, this is like the end of a cartoon.
So there it is. That's Animal Man, issue 5.
Yep, the Coyote Gospel.
Yeah. Jank, what'd you think?
You know what? I don't know. I didn't really learn a whole lot about Animal Man in this. I'll say that much, other than that he flies and doesn't really do anything except argue with his wife. But the story itself was fine. Unlike most of Grant Morrison's stuff, it wasn't confusing. You know, it's somewhat kind of pretentious, but that's
somewhat. Yeah, you can crank that up a few notches. But
compared to
he's clearly talking about religion and God and the nature of humans, you know, taking all the suffering for a supposedly loving God. And then Bob thinks he's saving the world by killing the devil. It is not a devil, you know. It's just a good old coyote trying to save his own world, you know. Yeah. So it's like, so he's shooting for bigger things here than typical comic book fare. But I think that's, I don't know. I want some punching. Where's the punching?
I mean, it's interesting to try to do that and tell those kinds of stories with a cartoon world. Like, that is kind of an interesting thing to try to bring in, like a Wile E. Coyote figure, I guess. You know, again, it's kind of highbrow, but it's somewhat interesting.
Yeah, he's going for bigger things here, Michael, right? He's trying to be outside the traditional superhero comic book.
Well, how about this? Why don't you guess what I think of this comic book?
Well, of course you love it. You think it's very
Of course,
similar.
not only do I love it, I think it's one of the best single issues I've ever read in my life. How about that?
That is a bold statement.
Yes.
That is a bold statement.
Now,
let me say this about Grant Morrison, Alan Moore, and Neil Gaiman as well. I don't like any of them.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't think I like them is because I just, you know, I see what they were doing, and I see why they were so groundbreaking when they came in. I get it, because at the time what they were doing was so new to comics, right, Michael? Like, no one was doing this.
True.
But, I read it and it's like, oh, this is first year creative writing students trying to show how profound and fancy they are. And it's just, I don't know. I never find any of their stories engaging or all that, interesting or like the two things we pointed out here going through the book about the, why he thought he was the devil. That's one thing. But then the bullet, why not use the bullet the first time? Well, cause then there's not a story. So you have to, put it off. And that's just bad writing. I don't know.
I actually, for those 2 points, I don't really, the way I see it is, even the magic bullet, like, okay, how did he know the magic bullet would work? Well, to me, that's not really important.
Well, I don't care if he knew it would work. I was fine with him thinking it's going to work, but use it the first time. You had the coyote right there. You shot him with not the magic bullet.
You could
the only reason to not shoot him with the magic bullet is because, the story would be over there. We need to go another 15 pages.
But the other thing, too, is he didn't just have the bullet. He had the bullet and the bomb, right? So to me, it's like, he already knew that he had 3 things he was going to use. So it's not like, he could use the magic bullet.
But if you have the magic bullet, it's going to work.
Maybe something like he couldn't get close to him, so he had to shoot from far away, and he didn't want to risk the magic bullet
yet. Be, yeah.
But he was right there. He was there.
Like 3 feet away.
I don't know. It's just the things, you look for when you're plotting a story. Like, that's a problem. We need to address that. And he didn't. But these were like, no one was writing like these guys when they came in, right, Michael?
Well, not only that, it's kind of rare to find people writing like this now. Like there are some.
Thank God.
There are some. Well, no, that's why I don't read anything now. But there's some really good writers like, say, Jason Aaron or Brian Azzarello. There are some really good writers, but I still think all this stuff still holds up. Like Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, all this stuff. So I still love it. I mean, it's not as good as US1, but I mean, what is?
Oh, US1 is great. There's a talking truck. You remember the talking truck?
Oh yeah, of
awesome.
Course.
Well, no, the truck didn't talk. He was just thinking. We could.
That's
read the
true. Yeah, let's not get ridiculous here.
We could read the truck's
blasting.
I don't know. It's just I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, because I've read this several times. The only thing I noticed this time around is that I guess you could say the plot is less cohesive than I remember, because we spend some time with Buddy and his family, and that doesn't really tie into the greater story. So you could argue that could be cut. But in the overall 26 issues, that's like maybe the one thread, right, that they continue.
Yeah,
on.
you need that. It's an ongoing series, so you need that to keep the family.
Right.
You know? I like the ending with him showing them the paper, and he's like, I can't read it, because this coyote thinks, this is going to be my saving grace here. This Animal Man guy with the goggles and the goofy coat, he's going to save me. And then he can't understand what he's trying to do, So.
Well, and also
talk to animals. Apparently can't understand their weird languages.
Well, these are cartoon animals from another dimension,
Well, it also ties in to some of it, like some of the ideas that come back in Morrison's comics, like saying like looking for a better world, like the idea that superheroes on paper like are a better world than what we live in, and the whole idea that these cartoon animals come to a different dimension, which is the DC superhero dimension, right? But then we're here in our world, like in like almost like another dimension. It's kind of like an idea he goes back to.
Was Animal Man at this point in time really part of the DC universe, or was he kind of off? Like, did he intermingle with DC heroes at this point, or was that later on?
No, in the miniseries, I think he joins Justice League Europe right around this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think he interacted with Bwana Beast. Mirror Master, and then later on.
So he's going with a pretty high profile crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
He was right there with the elites.
Right.
On a beast, yeah. All right, well, the Animal Man. Michael, I might actually read another Animal Man, because I hear tell that maybe in the 20s somewhere there's a book with a monkey on the cover using a typewriter.
Yes, there is.
So I might have to check that out.
I recommend
otherwise, I don't know. Anything else you'd like to tell the kids about Animal Man, Michael?
Only that if you're listening to this, everybody should read it, and you might as well go back to the number 1. But this issue is where it really starts to go crazy, and then you can just read all the way through to 26, his last issue. And it's
they doing the fourth wall breaking stuff in the first 4 issues when they thought it was just going to be a miniseries?
No.
Okay.
It was just more. It was more like a regular superhero, but it was just better. But this is where he starts to go a little crazy, definitely. Because this point, he knew it was going to be an ongoing, so he started expanding on all the, the ideas. So.
Okay.
That's right. This was issue 5, and it was supposed to be 4-issue
Right.
limited series. So yeah, look at that. I forgot about that. All right. So, Mike, I'm guessing you give it a 10 out of 10, right?
Oh, how can I not? I mean, of course it's a 10 out of 10. I mean, unless you're including art.
Well,
but
yeah, you include the art, and that's why it's a comic book with art is the big deal.
It can't be a 10 out of 10 because the art is so mediocre. So I'll give it a 9 out of 10. How about that?
Yeah, how would you describe his art style? It's is there anyone who reminds you? It's just very simple lines.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing I can say about it is it looks like a comic book, right? But it's just not a good comic book. Like he draws kind of like a typical bad 80s, 90s artist. Like it's just weak art, It's just not good.
Yeah, it's not impressive.
It's not terrible. It's just not great.
Some of the faces, especially when you're with him, the guy, Buddy, and his family, like those are kind of rough.
Right.
Yeah,
are good. Like the close up of the wife, a couple of those are pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not awful by any means, but it's not dynamic or great. It tells the story well enough,
Right. Yeah.
And I guess if you're trying to do a different kind of book from a traditional superhero, I think the art kind of works, I guess, but I don't know.
To me, it kind of drags it down a bit because, I mean, Doom Patrol had decent art by, I think it's Richard Case, but at least his art really suited the style of the stories. But I feel like Chaz Truog is kind of mismatched with Grant Morrison, what he was trying to do. But the only thing I do like about it is that it looks kind of like, it's not like super realistic. It looks more cartoony and like the colors are really bright. And I think that's what he was going for. So I think it suits it in that way.
Yeah, it gives it like a lighter tone, a lighter feel to it. So,
right.
All right, Jank, what do you think? Animal Man issue 5.
I had a decent enough time with it. I mean, I guess it's kind of sad when the coyote dies at the end and stuff. So it's an interesting backstory that Animal Man never understood. But so I'll give it a 7.
What?
Yeah, I'm not going to go as crazy as Mike L here, but it's good.
I was expecting like a 3 or a 4 out of you. It seemed like you didn't like it at all, but all right.
It's not really my cup of tea per se, but it is well written. Like I can't argue with that. Like,
well, I think it's overwritten and
compared to a lot of Grant Morrison stuff, I found this much more palatable. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a couple extra points for that.
So you're doing it compared to the Grant Morrison standard.
Yeah, on the Grant Morrison scale, this is a 7.
I appreciate what he was trying to do here. I like the general thought behind all this. I like that Buddy Baker is now vegan. Good on you, buddy. Changing the world, buddy.
That lost points. Yeah, that's why I could have 9/10.
I'm
a big fan of Wile E. Coyote, so I'm always going to pop for Wile E. Coyote when he comes in. I like the cover, but I don't like Grant Morrison. The art, like you said, it's okay, but it's nothing to get excited about. So, but I appreciate what they're doing. So, I'll give it a 6. How's that, Michael?
That's much better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was going to go 5. Middle of the
better
road.
than Sandman got, I think.
Yeah. But I appreciate what they're doing here. They're trying something else, trying something new.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wouldn't want this to be every comic I read, but as a palate cleanser once in a while, it's good.
Yeah. So I gave it a marginal thumbs up. Just for you, Michael. Michael's favorite book, so I gave it a marginal thumbs up.
There you go. Oh, wait, it's not just my favorite book. I've sent you a list of the 100 best comics ever made, and it's number 6. So anyway.
Wow.
Check it out.
Number 6.
Yep, it's in there. Or number 7. It's just below Watchmen. So there you go. You can check out that list later.
Where was Kickers Inc.?
Yeah.
Oh, that was number 11. It just missed the top. So.
Damn it.
That's all right. Are there any other Animal Man issues or stories that pop out, Michael, that people should check out? The Monkey on the Typewriter? Is that
as like a standalone? Yes. I was just funny because I was just thinking about the whole veganism thing. There is a standalone issue. It's number 15, and it's where Animal Man gets involved with some what are they called? I think like whale. What do they call when they hunt whales? Whale hunters.
Oh, like Greenpeace.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That is a really, really good issue. If you're just gonna read one more issue, read that one, number 15.
Well, read the one with the monkey on the typewriter.
Okay, then read the one with the dolphin on the cover.
Or 26. Isn't 26 where he actually like meets Grant Morrison?
Well, that spoils the whole story, so we'll cut that out of the podcast.
Yeah. See, that Chaz
Spoiler.
Truag. I read an interview with that Chaz Truag fella, and the guy asked him about that, and he says, yeah, he hated the fact that Morrison put himself in the book, and he said he was like drawing in the background, and you see like he'll draw a guy rolling his eyes, and he goes, that was me rolling my eyes when I was fucking reading that story. It was like, he says, how self-indulgent could you be? You know,
Yeah, that's true. Is anyway.
Yeah.
So, there it is, Michael. Thanks for coming back to Flea Market Fantasy. Hey, next week I got to pick a book.
Ooh.
So, I was trying to think, I like to do I like to tie in the picks, you know? So, Kevin Jank picked an Animal Man thing with a coyote in it. So I thought, hey, you know what we're going to do? From 1983, Coyote, issue 1.
Coyote? You mean Steve Englehart?
Yeah.
Oh.
Coyote,
wow.
issue 1. And, I we don't like to do number ones, although we do them occasionally, because, I don't have any fucking idea what Coyote is. I have no clue.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta start at the beginning if you're gonna follow it at all.
And I guess Michael, you told me you own this whole series, right?
Yeah, it featured Todd McFarlane's first ever published art, and I sold it.
Yeah, he did like a backup story in not issue 1, but in a later issue somewhere down the line.
11, 12 or something, yeah.
But the artist here for this, the first 2 issues is a fella, Steve Lowell.
Yeah, Lowell. I don't know. I know what you mean though. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember how to pronounce it. But I looked at this art. Holy hell, is it really good?
Yeah, he's good. You know what I just found out? You know who did some other issues of Coyote? None other than Chaz Truog.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's where I was reading about it, because I was reading that interview with him, and he mentioned Coyote. I'm like, oh, Coyote, that'll tie in nicely with the Coyote in the book. So yeah.
Right.
So Coyote, issue 1. I have no idea what this is about, Michael. I think some sort of mysticism, like Southwest mysticism or something.
I mean, I did buy the whole series, but I sold them before reading them because, as you know, the Englehart bubble burst. So I just got rid of everything.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
All right, Michael. Well, hey, Michael, don't be a stranger, you know?
Well, hey, feel free to invite me back on for Shocktober.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
5 months from now.
Yeah,
feel free to have me.
Yeah, if there's another one in there, if there's a special, hey, any DC Comics, how about that? Give me a call.
Well, you know what, Jank? Usually we go off the line with the new, with our little catchphrase that we say here, you know? But because Mike L's back, how about we let Mike L, for old time's sake,
all right,
his catchphrase.
There you go. Okay, so until the next time, disperse!